welcome to Sarah's Stampin' Retreat. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a shaker card with these beautiful shapes dies. So in there you get a whole range of dies. So you've got some layering circles and this kind of abstracty circle piece. It's actually a pure circle with some embossing on it that creates that abstract bit in the middle. We've got these shapes, some hexagon layers, and then these pieces where you can make patterns from the hexagons, and some diamond and triangle pieces. But today we're just going to be using 2 of the hexagon dies. And then we're also going to be using one of these pieces of abstract beauty papers. So these are 4x6 papers that are foiled on one side and plain on the other. And you get 48 sheets in the pack, so you get 4 each of 12 designs. And they're all double-sided, so you can see they are foiled on one side and plain on the other side. And you get a beautiful range of designs. So I've chosen these papers today because I want to make a card that you could use for the men or the ladies in your life. So I'm going to use this piece here because I think it's quite a nice kind of like unisex type piece that most people would like. So you can see I've got that paper here. So I'm going to start with an A6 Night of Navy card blank, and so that's 8 1/4 inches by 5 7/8 inches, and that's scored and folded in half. And then this piece I have cut down, so I've cut it down to 1/4 inch smaller than my card front, and I've also backed it onto, so I've just stuck it onto a piece of basic white cardstock just to give it a bit of rigidity because I didn't want it to be as floppy as the paper. And then I've also cut these 3 frames. So to cut the frames I've used these 2 middle hexagon dies, and I've taped them together on a piece of gold foil sheet, just like that. Run it through my die cutting machine, and then you get left with the hexagon in the middle, this piece and the frame. So you just want to make sure that they are evenly spaced all the way around before you tape them together. So I've cut 3 of those. I want to arrange them on this piece of pattern cardstock. So now that I know that I want them like that, then I'm just going to put this in place using the frame as a guide. So if I line that up with that frame and then put it down there, then I know that that's where I want my hexagon to go. So I'm just going to tape that onto here. And I'm going to go and run that through my die cutting machine. So then I want to keep this bit that I've cut out, and then I'm just going to put that back on there. Then this time I'm going to line this up on the back of here, put that in place next to here. I think that's just okay there. I'm going to just tape that in place there. And then let's go run that one through too. And then let's do that exact same process for the final one. And I know that I want that one about here, so I'll go and run that one through too. Then we've got this with our 3 holes in. So now I want to glue these frames around the apertures. So then I want these bits to be in the background. So I'm just going to line this up on here. And then I'm just going to glue the pieces that we cut out of these apertures back into the apertures. And using this as a guide means that they'll be in the right place on the card front. So I can lift this back off. So I know those are in the right place now. And then I'm just going to add a bit of acetate to the back of this. So the acetate is there to hold in your shaker pieces. So I'm going to add some tear and tape to the back of my paper. Just going to leave a little gap there because I don't want it to show in the aperture. And again, I'm going to leave a little gap here. So my piece of acetate is just very, very slightly smaller than this piece of patterned cardstock. So it's about a 1/16 of an inch smaller, but I mean, it doesn't matter. You could probably go up to 1/4 of an inch smaller with the gap you've got here. So don't worry if the measurements on that aren't exact. So let's put that on here. And then I'm going to come in with my adhesive foam strips, and I'm going to go around each of these apertures with an adhesive foam strip. I don't want any gaps in this, so I'm just going to kind of bend it around the corners, because if you have gaps in it, then your sequins or whatever you choose to put in are going to fall out. So you want this to be nice and tight around here. So I'm popping that round, and then I'm just going to chop it off there. And then this excess bit that I've just chopped off, I'm just going to pop along this edge. So I'm going to do the same with the next one. I'll pop a spare bit down that edge. And then I've got one more to do. So I'm just checking at this side that I can't see that foam through the apertures. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some subtle shimmer sequins, and I'm going to put them in each of the hexagons on my card. And you just want to make sure that those aren't touching any of the edges, because otherwise they'll get stuck under the shaker foam. And then I'm going to take the backing off of this. And then I'm just going to pop this over here, just being quite careful to line it up with those hexagons underneath. And you can see all my sequins will shake about. And then to complete my card, I'm going to use the Happy Birthday sentiment from the Celebrating You stamp set. Then I'm going to use my Versamark ink and just stamp that onto a spare piece of Night of Navy cardstock. And then I'm just going to take my gold embossing powder and sprinkle that over the top. And then I'm just going to heat that up. So I'm going to put my heat tool onto setting 2 and heat that. So now I'm just going to go and cut down this sentiment. So I've cut that down, and I've also cut a piece of gold foil sheet, and that is only about 1/8 of an inch bigger than the sentiment piece, just so that I get a really thin strip of gold around the outside. So I've just popped some of the bits from the edges of the dimensionals on the back of there. So these bits here. I always like to use those as well as the hexagons in the middle. And I'm just going to pop this on my card. So there we go, there's our simple shaker card finished. So I really hope you've enjoyed today's project. If you did, I'd appreciate you clicking like below. You can also press subscribe if you'd like to see future videos. If you press the bell button and select all, then YouTube will also notify you when I have new videos available. All of the products that we've used today are listed in the description below. There's also a host code there, so if you pop the host code into your basket before you check out, then I'll send you a free gift after the end of the month. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you again soon.